In recent years, Kenya has faced one crisis after another.
The issue of missing children here in the country continues to raise serious concerns.
The wave of unrest in Kenyan schools over fires is also another cause for concern.
Yet amidst the constant chaos facing the country, another threat continues to grow largely unnoticed. A threat that has displaced families, destroyed homes, and claimed lives. And this is our story.
Flooding is not a new phenomenon in Nairobi. For periods of years, there have been periods of heavy rainfall that have caused rivers to overflow and roads to become impassable. However, many residents say that the flooding that happened recently is more destructive and more difficult to recover from. But to understand why this keeps happening, we first have to look at the geography of the city itself.
Nairobi sits within a network of rivers and drainage basins that carry water across the region. When heavy rains fall, large volumes of water move rapidly through these systems. And Nairobi is not alone. Across Kenya, low-lying plains and flood-prone regions experience similar devastation whenever rainfall exceeds the land's ability to absorb or redirect water. But while geography may explain part of the problem, it does not explain everything. To truly understand the effects of flooding, we must first follow the water itself.
This may look like an ordinary river, but across time, rivers shape entire landscapes. Every season, moving water carries small amounts of soil through a process called soil erosion. The upper layer of the soil is usually the first to be carried away by the water. And this layer is rich with organic matter and nutrients, which is essential for farming. But what remains underneath is less fertile and cannot hold any plants. And as the rapid waters rise in intensity and strength, so congruently does the rate of erosion, affecting the environment and the livelihood of the people in the area.
Soil erosion can have devastating effects on farmers and their families. When fertile land is carried away, crops can be damaged or completely destroyed, leading to poor harvests and loss of income.
She did not want to be seen by the camera. You have to respect someone's privacy. However, she did give us some information.
For Teresa, farming is more than a source of income. It is the foundation of her family's livelihood. However, repeated flooding has taken a heavy toll on her farm. The floodwater swept away the top layer of nutrients that constantly replenish her crops. Beyond the immediate losses, the floods have also damaged the land, making it less productive and more difficult to cultivate.
The most devastating part about this is that they lacked food as a family for a whole season.
As a result, Teresa now faces lower harvests, reduced income, and the challenge of rebuilding her farm while providing for her family.
However, we do wish the best for this family, as there are other millions across the country that have faced the same problem.
While heavy rainfall plays a role, many experts argue that human behavior also contributes to the severity of urban flooding. Blocked drainage systems, illegal dumping, and poor waste disposal prevent water from flowing freely through the city. As a result, water accumulates where it should not. Floods are often discussed as a failure of infrastructure, but they are also a reflection of individual choices. Every piece of litter discarded into a drainage channel contributes to a larger problem. What often begins as carelessness can ultimately place entire communities at risk. As the waters rise, there is more to the devastation than the property damage. The greatest loss that roars within these waters is that of a life.
Update now on the extreme flooding out of Kenya. Officials say 40 people have died in western Kenya after a dam collapsed there.
Very often we look at death toll statistics and fail to draw empathy to the victims. We forget that these very numbers are actual lives. A family left grieving, a chair left empty, a future that will never be realized. And we stand in this gap to show you the truth and to give voice to their souls. As often as the floodwaters rise, another danger often follows close behind, unnoticed by the majority.
There are failed drainage systems in a part of the country. Hence, we get that there is a lot of running water or stagnant water that is contaminated with fecal matter, contaminants, and pollutants. So whenever you come into contact with this water by either drinking it, by either touching it, or even by either breathing some of the air that is contaminated, you get to have some certain illnesses. So number one, by drinking this water, you can get acute gastroenteritis, that is an infection of the stomach. We can get something like typhoid fever. We can get something like dengue fever. We can get something like cholera. And also we can get something like dysentery. That is, sometimes dysentery is so dangerous because you are now starting to diarrhea, a diarrhea that has blood and mucus mixed with it. We have other conditions like pneumonia. Whenever there's flooding, we get that we are living in an environment that has a humidified air that is containing so many microorganisms or pollutants. So whenever we have that, we can contain diseases like pneumonia and other diseases. Now, whenever we have flooding and the water is stagnant, we might start getting things like bilharzia, because now the snails will be living inside there, and whenever we come into contact with them, we will have diseases like bilharzia. Malaria is going to come in because now it is going to be a harboring ground for these mosquitoes, so malaria is going to come in. Some skin infections like cellulitis, that is infection of the skin, like fungal infection, is going to come in. Yeah, so those are some of the diseases that you can contain whenever there is flooding in an area.
As we broaden our understanding of these risks, we must understand that we are the cause of change. Every individual has a personal responsibility to take care of their environment. Because for every piece of paper thrown ignorantly on the ground, there is a heavy price to pay. This documentary was created for a simple reason: to raise awareness, to encourage advocacy, to remind us that access to clean water, proper sanitation, and safe environments remains essential to sustainable development. Flooding is not merely an environmental issue. It is an economic issue, a health issue, and ultimately a humanitarian issue.
The question isn't whether there is flooding in Nairobi. The question is, what are we willing to do about it? Because change doesn't begin with infrastructure and policy reform. Change begins with individual decision.